Good morning.
I was grooving to your opening tune.
I do like that. I keep saying that I'm going to change things, and then I just never do. Good morning out there on the internets, at least on YouTube, because exactly what I thought was going to happen did happen, and the Facebook feed is not working. So that's got to be something with my settings somehow, somewhere that I should have checked earlier, but I didn't.
So
So
everyone out there on Facebook who can't hear us, switch to YouTube, please.
I'm just gonna go ahead and post that on the Facebook, and then I will worry about it Tuesday when we have to do this again early. Anyway, my name is Jaimelyn Gray. Welcome to You've Got a Thing, an interview thing about Milwaukee theater things. And with me today, I have three fantastic artists who are currently going to open Little Shop of Horrors at Skylight Music Theatre.
Theater, Jamie.
Happening. It is happening.
It is happening.
So, welcome, the three of you. Mr. Unger, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure, I'm Mr. Unger. No, I'm Michael Unger, Mr. to Jaimelyn. I'm the artistic director of Skylight Music Theater and very happy to be the director of this production of Little Shop of Horrors. And because of pandemics and things, this is actually my main stage directorial debut at Skylight, even though I've been here for 2 years. So I'm thrilled. It's a great cast, a great production, a great team, backstage, onstage, upstage, downstage, left and right. So anyway, I'm very happy. And tonight, 7:30, we open.
Ashley.
Hi, my name is Ashley Oviedo. I'm playing Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. I'm very excited. And if my lights go out, it's because there's motion sensing lights in this room. So
Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin James Sievert, and I am playing Seymour in this production of Little Shop of Horrors. And I am so excited to be sharing the stage with Ashley as my Audrey.
And house to have.
Yes, I do think it's funny. Ashley's actually at work right now and being very partially secretive or something about joining us today. And so, yeah, if you're watching this, she's going dark because of the motion sensors. It's funny. I think.
Oh, who's your cat, Kevin?
This is Lucy.
Oh, meow.
And there is another cat named Joey sitting right next to me.
I have to tell you that these two performers are fantastic. You cannot help but fall in love with both of them, and they'll break your heart and make you laugh, and they sing gloriously, and this is a very exciting pairing of Milwaukee artists because they are just incredible in the show. And that's my biased opinion.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Well, I tried to get Ashley to come over and work at the Constructivists during pandemic, and it didn't work out. It was largely just not the right script for the living situation.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because I flew back here when I thought things were opening up, and then I went back home, and then things were kind of opening up, and I was like, well, now I'm not here. Oh man.
Another time. Yeah, so, and then Kevin and I were just talking a little bit about that we're both Manitowoc people.
Yes.
Yeah, Manti represent.
Exactly.
Big old shipbuilders town up north there. If anybody knows Manitowoc, it's where you can cross the Lake Michigan on the car ferry and go over to Lake Michigan. Yes.
And there's huge beer bottle murals downtown, which is the landmark direction point.
Anymore. They covered it.
Yeah, I know. They covered it now.
I'm so that's another story for another time that they removed the Budweiser Tower. That was just, now it's something seed company.
It's called the Beers Tower, I think.
Oh, Beers Tower.
But it's BIERSS. It's not like Beer Tower. I don't know.
Anyway. So let's talk about Little Shop of Horrors a little bit because it is a classic super great musical that is accessible to everybody. I mean, I think everybody everybody of a certain age remembers the film. What year was that? That was Rick Moranis and
83, 86.
Yeah. So those of us older.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that movie on repeat as a child.
Yeah,
It was so
good. It's so
It was
good.
86, by the way. But you know, maybe you don't know, but the musical, which came before the film, the stage musical, was based on a 1960 film by Roger Corman, which was a grade B schlock horror movie that they
Yes.
shot in 3 days on a borrowed set. And
Roger Corman.
yeah, and it's an interesting film. You can watch it on YouTube. It's very funny, but it's Alan Menken and Howard Ashman took that film and turned it into the musical that we all know far better than that film. But anyway, it's a funny old grade B black and white that's interesting to watch. But anyway, so the off-Broadway show was written in 82, and then it moved to off-Broadway, and then it was on Broadway for the first time in 2003. But it had not played Broadway before that revival with Hunter Foster and Carrie Butler. Anyway, Little Shop trivia, if you care.
That I care. I think that's great because it's so. I'm not a musical theater person, so you will have to tell me. It seems so different than what you would expect out of musicals. So I was trying to think of.
I mean, actually,
going into like Sweeney Todd and things like that. So I feel like, but I feel like it's of a different brand of musical because it's really a dark comedy.
It is a dark comedy that is really funny and has some real dark overtones and a beautiful, wonderful love story that is sort of tragic in the end, but hopeful, kind of, because they end up together, sort of. But it is actually a perfectly structured musical, which is what's so impressive. If you look at like Little Shop of Horrors or Little Mermaid, which was also written by the same team, Ashman and Menken, the dramatic structure is kind of perfect. And you have, the lead characters want song in the right place, and the tension is perfect, and the sort of it's not Aristotelian time, but in terms of the dramatic structure of rising action and climax falling action, it is so well structured and it's so smartly done. Like Little Mermaid, all those sort of plot points line up sort of in parallel with all these great musicals. And it's a wonderful piece to work on and the score is so good, and the book is funny and smart, and Howard Ashman wrote the book, and the lyrics also directed the original production. And then of course there's like 4 great puppets in the show, getting increasingly larger and larger and larger.
Yes. Yeah.
They're worth the ticket price alone, those puppets.
That's true. So is Kevin, and so is Ashley. Ticket price alone for each of those things, so you'll get thrice what you invest, and then a cast of 9, even more.
Is that what it is? Is it just 9 people?
A cast of 9, yep.
You didn't add 12 billion people to, buffer.
Don't need to. Wouldn't want to. No reason to.
Okay. Yeah. So, actor type people. So you all have been waiting a bit to actually do this show. Because something about a global pandemic and wanting to do this, and I
never heard of her.
That it's funny, Michael, that this is the first thing, because you've been here, it feels like forever now, and this is the first thing that you're actually directing. That's so funny to me. But tell me about the painful wait, you two. Tell me about
it. I mean, I remember like, oh, poor Ashley. I remember like getting shut down last year. It was around Halloween. We had done like Zoom rehearsals, and had 2 in-person rehearsals, and then we got shut down. And then I remember like every day just going back to my script and being like, we're going to get back, and I don't know, maybe they'll just call us back in like a week and we'll be back. Maybe they'll call us back in like a month and we'll be back. But then it never happened. So it was a lot of like impatient waiting, and like we had a feeling that we were going to be coming back. Like they had mentioned that we were going to come back. It was just a matter of when, and like never quite knowing when was the most anxious part about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. I think I waited for like a month, and then just because of I was, I guess, like used to it, or just like okay, because like graduation was canceled and all of our school stuff was canceled. So then this was canceled, and I was like, all right. So for a month I was like checking my emails, and then I was like, okay, it's just not gonna happen. I guess it's fine. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna happen a year later. But I don't know. I think I was just like, all right, nice COVID.
We always knew it was going to happen because it had to. And we actually kept the entire cast intact, save one actor who was not available. So we made one cast change. But it's the cast. Other than that, it's the cast we had put together a year ago.
Well, so people who were involved for a year, from you two, did you listen to it, on the regular and keep rehearsing and like, in your room, and just to keep it fresh, and just to in the idea that yes, it was going to happen sometime?
I out of the own safety of my spirit, I did not really let myself get back into it until I knew it was going to happen. However, there would be like a couple of like moments where I would just pull a Seymour line out of my head and I would just say it just to be like, oh, he's still there somewhere, So I didn't really like pull the script or the music back out until like September of this year.
Wow.
Me too. I did the same thing, except for that 1 month I was still like looking over lines and stuff. And then, oh my gosh. And then I like was like, okay, because it made me sad until we like actually were sure we were gonna do it.
Sure. I'm gonna try showing some of these pictures. We've been having some sound doodads, and technology just has not been kind to me as of late. So I just want to
shout out to a wonderful design team, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who was your set designer? Who is your?
Brian Prather was is our set designer, and I've done like, I don't know, 5, 7, 8, 9 shows with him. He is wonderful. He is actually not here because when originally designed a year ago, because of the pandemic, we weren't traveling artists that into town that we didn't have to travel. And we actually designed this to be more of a pandemic production, where literally the urchins who live upstairs from the flower shop were in their own apartments and never crossed each other's airspace. And when I staged it, like you would never have Kevin and Ashley touching like that or so close together. So we actually staged it originally a year ago with distancing, and now that we have, now that we are able to be less distance, we've taken down those walls and people are in the same space. I never had the urchins downstairs in the original version of the production because of social distancing. So I think it's far more effective to see the show this way, when people can actually hug and kiss and touch, but the kissing is fake. Like, there's no real contact with the kiss. It's phony. We stage that so that there's no real contact, just because we're trying to be as careful as we can. But anyway.
But it's still weird, right? It's still like I don't know about you, but it feels weird just being in the same space again, and any sort of thing within 6 feet feels a little meh. Do you all was that a hurdle to overcome?
Personally, I totally welcomed the changes back to a semi-normal staging. Honestly, it felt weird doing the socially distanced staging because you want to be you want to be like intimate, and you want to be together in some of these like stronger, more romantic moments. And I had to like reach to Ashley across the room and be like, I
Don't
just want
die.
to hug you. But being back in the rehearsal room with people in this way again was such a joy. Like, it was like coming back to a family like reunion. You know, we haven't seen each other in a year, and coming back and welcoming our new cast member in was just as fun. So it was a great experience.
And with the testing too, I feel like at first I was like, oh, we're going back to like real like blocking. I was like, oh no. But we test so much that I feel really comfortable with what we're doing. And I thought that it was gonna be more like it feel more weird because we haven't done live theater like this close. Everything I've done so far like has been like either virtual or like socially distanced. So I thought it would be a little more weird. But after like a day, I was like, oh, we're back. We're back to like acting in each other's faces and hugging, and it was nice.
The Actors Union requires us to test 3 times a week, so we're monitoring, often and keeping it safe. But originally, when we staged this, we wanted to reduce the amount of time a year ago that we were sort of in the room together, and we didn't want to, be in the small rehearsal room, which has less airspace, obviously, than the large theater. So we want to share my screen, Jaimelyn.
Yeah.
So I actually spent a couple weeks on Zoom with this cast, staging the entire show with this program called Skylight. So you see the floor plan of the set, obviously, and then I have pictures where each actor would be, and that's sort of Kevin in the basement and Ashley's off stage. And you can actually go, there are 280 charts, so every time there was a move, I would tell the actors where I wanted that move to happen, on what line. There's Ashley entering with her coat and grabs her apron. Anyway, so the whole show, you can scroll through the whole show and see how it moves with this program. And then when we got on stage, you can stop sharing. When we got on stage, we were like, let's just see what happens. And we just started at the beginning and went through to the end, and it ran like we'd been in the rehearsal room together, and we hadn't. In fact, it was the first time some of us had met each other, was that day a year ago when we got on stage. And then the next day we were going to run it again, and we got shut down. Anyway, so now we did have a full rehearsal period, but the staging didn't change a huge amount from what we originally did on Zoom. That was the basic template. But one thing that was very interesting, because of the pandemic and the original staging, the kiss, and there's a slap in the show that I was physically distancing because of the pandemic. And when we got into rehearsal, we got to that slap moment, and this is a spoiler alert, folks, but something inside me said, we have to address this differently than would have been done sort of in the 80s, because we need to bring a special awareness to this. In fact, we're raising money for the Sojourner Family Peace Center. There's a QR code in our program, and if you scan that code, you probably scan it from here, you can make a donation to the family, the Sojourner Family Peace Center, to help the Audreys out there. They are the largest nonprofit provider of domestic violence prevention and intervention in Wisconsin, serving over 11,000 clients a year. So it's a great charity, and we're raising money. For Newsies, we raise money for a different charity on exit donations, and in this case, you can scan the code and donate. But to try and raise awareness to domestic violence, that is another kind of pandemic in the world, and another kind of monster in the world. Anyway, so we decided to keep the distanced slap and suspend it in a way that would highlight the horror of it, but really put it on the perpetrator. So I hope it works. We feel that it worked well in rehearsal, and we've got light cues and sound cues and stuff, and a whole suspension moment that treats the slap in a very unique way. And there's actually a slap. Audrey's supposed to slap Seymour in the last scene to sort of shake him out of his sort of craziness when he's so upset by the plant, and we cut that slap as well because it just didn't feel right having treated the Audrey slap in the way we did. So anyway, so come and see the show and let us know what you think of that suspended moment that I hope highlights the warnings in the show that are so important. And if you can support Sojourner, that'd be great too.
I mean, do you Do you, speaking of older things and then moving into new times, what is the pressure to sort of live up to expectations or live up to, because almost, okay, first of all, we should go back because there might be people out here who have no idea what Little Shop of Horrors actually is. Like, we're all talking about it like, oh, everybody knows Little Shop is, Michael, can you give a brief synopsis of this?
Yeah, it's about ambition. And it's about unchecked ambition. It's about us allowing monsters to exist. And as a society, if monsters happen like pandemics or bad politics on whatever side you're on, or some obsession or some addiction, they exist because we as a society have allowed them to exist, for better or worse, obviously worse. So anyway, but on the surface, it is about a young man who has a penchant for odd plants, and he picks up a little Venus flytrap kind of thing at a flower shop in downtown New York City. And he's working in this rundown flower shop in rundown Skid Row on the Bowery of New York City, where things are not easy for anybody and nobody buys flowers anyway, so the shop is failing. And this plant grows and grows and grows and grows because of a certain type of nutrient that Seymour feeds it. It is blood and guts and bodies and people. So it becomes a man and woman eating plant that grows to take over the world, kind of. It's about ambition. Did I miss anything, Kevin, Ashley?
I don't think so. That's a pretty solid synopsis.
And there's this wonderful love story between these two beautiful people. That music, it's so good, so good.
Yeah, as I've always, I'm not a musical person, but this is one of those that sticks in my head after, and I would always, same thing, I'll watch it. If it's on television, I'll watch it.
And it actually speaks to every age in the entire spectrum on its own level. So, kids may not get the overall warning of the idea of larger monsters, but they'll certainly be excited by the thrill of seeing this big puppet and the chomping, and our sound designers on these great chomping sound cues and people get eaten that it's just kind of a little shivery, gross, but in a good way, in a fun way. Anyway, but it definitely speaks to every audience age, and they'll receive something different perhaps, but it's works on all those levels. And that is master musical theater writing from Menken and Ashman for sure.
I'm actually on the fence about bringing Aurora to this one because it is, the music is great and amazing and it looks beautiful from the pictures, but cognitively I'm not sure.
Well, we're having a sensory friendly performance of this show. Do you know that? But
yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a sensory issue. It's more of the, I brought her to Fight Call of Pillow Man once and it was not, so we'll see. I might have to come and see it first and then go,
do that.
Yeah. So when is this running? I mean, it opens tonight. Yay! Happy
opens tonight. Thank you. We're so excited.
And then when are you? This has a longer run.
So our holiday show generally runs more weeks than our other shows. This one closes on January 2nd. So it runs for 2 years, really, and we've rehearsed it for a year. So there.
And you can go to skylightmusictheatre.org to get tickets for that. I just want to be clear, because one of these days I'm going to take all of these files and put them on a podcast platform. Now that there's 50 some shows, it's a good time to try and get that together and put it on a podcast platform. So I always think about that of telling people where to go. Anyway, I don't know. And so there's 9 people in the show. There's beautiful set, beautiful costumes,
beautiful lighting, great puppets, props, costumes.
Who's your lighting?
Graham Kindred, who I did an off-Broadway show with in New York. And actually, originally he was going to design from afar and like zoom into tech rehearsals and like help and design lights from like Zoom. It was a crazy concept. He's here. Brian did not end up coming, but we luckily got Graham here. So,
what do you, you know, Ashley and Kevin, what do you hope people derive from this piece? Like, walk away from it. You know, again, it's dark comedy, so funny with a purpose.
Oh, for sure. I really resonate with Michael's vision of the show about ambition and monsters. One thing that I so appreciate about his directing style is that he came in like right from the jump with that kind of thesis statement and that kind of vision for the kind of story he wanted to tell, which really helped us, you know, as actors come into the same story. And I really want people to see that, and of course, I want people to laugh and have a good time. But I also want people to see the lovely colors on stage, and I don't just mean lights. I mean we're a hugely diverse cast of people, and a lot of our roles are pretty non-traditionally cast, which I think is beautiful and bring such a unique level of storytelling to all of these characters. And so I just want people to see and love those experiences for what they are.
Heck yeah, push those boundaries.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. That's something else I want people to take away from it. And like ages too. I thought I'd have to wait until I was like in my late 20s to play Audrey. I didn't think I'd ever get to play Audrey just because of what Kevin was saying. I'm like, this is so cool. And I also think I want people to take away that the situations that you're seeing and like the not feeding the plants and like abusive relationships and people struggling and working, and it's not exclusive to an age or a race or like one person that fits a mold. It can be any age and any person. It's just people, and I think that's really important. And
Ashley, I'm glad you brought up the age thing, because conventionally the role of Audrey is played by a woman who is older, who has a little more experience because she's had these bad relationships. And to me, someone your age, Ashley, unfortunately could also have been in a bad relationship because of a pattern of bad role models or bad parenting, or you know all sorts of societal influences.
Anybody want to hear a few stories?
Another you got a thing, maybe? Yeah, you got a thing, Jaimelyn. You do have a thing.
Yes.
And so to me, it brought a whole new perspective to the fact that this does happen to people. Could happen to someone at this age, and it is. I mean, it's happening constantly. That's why Sojourner Family Peace Centers out there, you know, and other organizations like it. Anyway, so. Thank you for bringing that up, Ashley. And it's a thrilling cast in terms of the diversity and in terms of how it is not how it is conventionally cast. And sometimes, you know, when you have such a big hit, people fall into molds. Like Ellen Greene, who originated the role of Audrey, is iconic in this part. But we're not imitating that, because why should we? Lots of people do, but we would never want to do that, because Ashley's Audrey is Ashley's, and Kevin's Seymour is Kevin's, and it's exactly how it should be.
That's awesome. Yeah. Just sort of on that note, I do think that domestic violence is something that I would really like to see talked more about, just, you know, in life in general, for sure. But in theater, I do think that there's something sort of missing there, that there aren't enough pieces, and I know this just because I would do those plays to give the opportunity to talk about domestic violence and talk about your people, talking with your people and your friends and your parents and because particularly in Wisconsin, domestic violence is a huge issue. So I hope that people do take away that from this.
You know, people. Sorry to interrupt you, Jaimelyn.
No.
People think they know Little Shop of Horrors. They think they do, in the same way that a guy comes to look at the plan. He says, "I've seen it before," and Raven Dockery, as Ronette says, if you haven't seen it lately, you haven't seen it this one, because it's huge now. It's got warts and everything. But the point is, you may have seen Little Shop, you may have seen the movie or the play. You say like, "Oh, I know that music. I just know that show." And I think you don't unless you see it as it relates to our current time, which is true of any good piece of art, theater, music, dance, whatever. So, but this show speaks to this time in a way that it would never have been speaking to the times in 82 or 80, even 60, whatever. There were different reasons for it to exist then, but right now it is so timely with this cast. It's a really important statement that goes way beyond what you think you know about Little Shop of Horrors. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. So
please come.
Go see it, friends. Yeah.
On so many levels.
I will be there for sure.
Good deal.
But yeah, all you people out there, go and see the thing. The links are in the comments. Go click on it. Go buy some stuff. Go see some live theater. It's necessary to humanity. So thank you all again. SkylightMusicTheater.org for that. Thank you.
And Jaimelyn, thank you for helping broadcast for us and other arts organizations in Milwaukee, other theaters, because it's really important to get the word out in unique ways. And thank you for that.
Just filling a need, yeah. I see a need.
Great.
I try to do the thing. So, yeah. So if one of you would like to host next week, I mean, you two, Ashley and Kevin probably don't know this, but normally under normal circumstances,
it's a relay.
It's a chain letter type thing. Like somebody who was a guest this week will host next week, because I try my best to not run all the tech and do the talking at the same time, because it can be a little disorienting. But so I will be sending out an email going, "Hey, who wants to?" Oh, and it's going to be on Tuesday. And we already have our people. It's Boulevard Theater next week, Tuesday, because they have a thing coming up next weekend that's a one performance only kind of thing, and Thanksgiving and all the things and whatever. But I would like to enlist some help on that. Anyway, thank you again, all. Have a wonderful, amazing opening night, and we'll talk more soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, great. I'm really excited for this show. So I will see you there, maybe. But in the meantime, let me show you some other things that are happening right now that you can go and see. Sunstone Studios has a new adaptation from Maya Deng's, one of my favorite people on the planet. It's called The Tamer. There are only 2 more chances to see this. It's tonight and tomorrow at 7 p.m. So you can go and check out. Sunstone is doing some really great work now with original works, and so we are always excited to push you over in that direction. This is a pay what you will kind of thing. So take your spare change, take your change jar, and go over to the theater and make that happen. The Constructivists have auditions right now. If you want to check those out, go to theconstructivists.org. They're coming up on this Monday, although I will tell you, because I'm directing this thing and I understand these things, signups have been woefully thin on this one. I'm not sure what, where, why, how to, why that's happening. But we might have to cancel these Monday auditions and move them to the few people that have signed up to the 29th instead. But go and check them out. It's a great new piece. Babel is by Jacqueline Goldfinger, best name ever. About future now type thing, like just beyond where we're at. I love that shit. And it's about you can sort of plan the genetics of your kids, and so it's eugenics kind of issues and what we do to sacrifice for our children, or the need to have children, those types of things. So constructivist.org for that. Decameron Opera Coalition is the company that Milwaukee Opera Theater has been working with on several projects now. They have this thing called Home Cooked Heroes. It's a wonderful project where they were just thinking about people in the pandemic that they wanted to thank. And this is a spoken word opera with text by Britt Nicole and music by Miss Lotus Funk. And they wanted to thank the heroes from Milwaukee's Triple B Cafe, and what it means to operate a pay-what-you-can restaurant in the middle of a food desert. I mean, if that's not loaded with wonderful and amazing things, check that out at MilwaukeeOperaTheatre.org. Please get vaccinated if you haven't yet, because the only way that we can keep live theater going is to make sure that people are safe and try and prevent sickness as best we can. So you can go to, I think it's vaccines.gov for that. I always want to thank Imagine MKE for doing what they do to advocate for the arts in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. They can help you to be a better arts advocate. You can go to imaginemke.org/act. They give you all the things to write your people, your Congress people, your state reps, your city reps, all the people. We need more money in the arts in the state of Wisconsin. 49th in funding is basically dead last. So there's so much work that needs to be done on that front. We need to employ more people. We need people to have more money so that Ashley doesn't have to sit at work and with her mask on in a room that keeps going dark. Like, if she could just, have, I could go on for about stipends and how artists should be able to write into the government and say, hey, I'm working on this thing in like Belgium and whatever. There's another show coming someday where I'm going to talk about all this stuff ad nauseum. But so that's what we got for this week. So go see some live stuff out there, people. And we will be back on Tuesday with Boulevard Theater and somebody who will host that's hopefully not me, because I'm sure you all are just sick of my face. And thank you for being here today, and we will see you next Tuesday on You've Got a thing.